Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 644 on Tuesday, the 12th of August, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear about obvious and foreseen consequences hitting the car industry. In the new car news, you'll find out why towing aficionados are in mourning. And in points of interest, you can see why small is sometimes the bestest.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no follow-up this week. We go straight into the new news. And as it is towards the beginning of the month, I hand over to our colleague who spins the discs.
Yeah, the sign of the swinging cymbal is playing away gently in the background as I do my best Radio 2 DJ voice. Overall, new car registration figures in July were down 5% to 140,154 units registered. That comes after 2 months of growth, as described by SMMT as growth, but wasn't really massive. The general rise ongoing with EV registrations is still a thing. But they have, however, slowed. Obviously, there's loads of uncertainty around what's actually included in the new UK electric car grant.
No, never.
I know.
Not a botched handling of something that they've just rushed out after having months and months to think about it.
Months to think about it, didn't bother discussing it in detail with any industry representatives. Well, I think some of the industry were consulted.
But more on that next week.
Generally, industry representing groups there, and it's all a bit of a mess still, isn't it? Overall, 66,271 petrol vehicles were registered. That is 47.3% of the overall market in July, but down 14.7% on the number last year. Diesel continues its descent, 8,018 units registered, down 7.9% last year. Hybrid electric vehicles, 18,551 registered, down 10% on last year. But on the other hand, battery electric vehicles, 29,825, up 9.1% on last year. And plug-in hybrids, 17,489, up 33% on last year. Big rises for plug-in hybrids. I think it's possibly a case of availability and taxation and all of these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Private registrations down 3.2%, fleet registrations down 6.5%, and the small percent of the market that goes to business was up 10.4%. Business, of course, making up 2.1% of the market share in 2025. Let's quickly run through the top models. So at number 10, the Audi A3. This is not a list of interesting vehicles, everyone. Number 10 is the Audi A3 with 2,080 models. 10 ahead is the Volkswagen Golf with 2,090. The Volkswagen Touareg comes in at number 8 with 2,258. At number 7, the Peugeot 2008, 2,434. Number 6, the Nissan Qashqai, 2,444 units. Number 5, the Volkswagen Tiguan with 2,527 models. 4, the Mini Cooper, 2,629. 3, the Nissan Juke, 3,077. 2, the Ford Puma with 4,409. And number 1, the Kia Sportage with 4,482 units registered. A very small spread up until sort of numbers 1 and 2, just there. Now, one of the things that amazed me about this is the lack of vehicles in this list that exhibit a fully electric version. Only the Peugeot E2008 and the Ford Puma. Oh, pardon me, Mini Cooper electric as well. Are the 3 in there, but everything else very much.
Is the Cooper not the ICE, though? Is the Cooper the small hatch?
The Cooper is the small hatch, okay. And I believe it encompasses everything under that body style. Yeah.
All right.
Mike Hawes said that July's dip shows yet again the new car market sensitivity to external factors and the pressing need for customer certainty. Confirming which models qualify for this new EV grant alongside compelling manufacturer discounts on a huge choice of exciting new vehicles should send a strong signal to buyers that now is the time to switch. That would mean increased demand for the rest of this year and into next, which is good news for the industry, car buyers, and our environmental ambitions. Now, we kind of said that this was going to happen whenever the electric car grant was on its way.
We said exactly. this was going to happen.
Let's see what happens for the August figures, because I suspect there's going to be some held over from July, but then I also think there's still going to be, I mean, we are almost 2 weeks in now, there's still going to be a fair chunk of uncertainty about stuff.
Yesterday was the announcement of which vehicles, the government's announcement of which vehicles complied, with some rather surprising choices, but we'll go into that next week because we haven't had time to fully digest it and read all the details.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, there's 2 more weeks of the month left. Now people know, and all of them are at the 1,500 rate. Whilst people are getting money off, I think some people thought they might be getting a lot more money off.
Yes. Shall we run through the spreadsheet to Doom, though?
Yes, I shall go through the Doom, and we'll start off.
Doom and Delight, I should say. Doom and Delight.
Yeah, we called it Doom for so long now, you see.
Yeah, I know.
The Doom side of things, that obviously comes to me. Typecast, I tell you, Typecast. Our Bath is down 93%, then Citroen is down 41%, DS is down 90%, Fiat is down 43%, GWM is down 75%. That is, last year they registered 55 vehicles, this year 14. Honda is down 46%. Then we go all the way down to Mercedes-Benz, which is down 16% now. That is 7,631 in 2024 to 6,446 in 2025. As it's Mercedes, that's quite a chunk of change difference. Nissan is down 23%, Seat is down 54%, Subaru down 30%, Suzuki down 54%.
No, sorry. Suzuki down 43.
What did I say?
44. 50. 54.
Oh, sorry, yes, 44. Oh,
you robbed them of a whole 10% there, sorry.
Wow. Sorry, Suzuki. No, it is 44. Yeah, blimey, that's wrong. I did mean to say 44. Tesla is down 60%, so obviously no boat has come in from Europe there. Toyota is down 23%. Volvo is down 33%. Other British down 48%, and other imports down 35%. Alan, give us the delight.
Delight. Well, good news for Stellantis amongst all of the other doom that you've just read out. Alfa Romeo up 47%. That's 163 units registered last month. Alpine up 395.45% to win the MG award for the month. I imagine that includes the sort of new Alpine badged Renault 5s, which will be helping that number quite a lot.
Whilst I also think it's the Electric Junior is helping the Alfa Romeo.
Quite possibly.
Demonstrators.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see those around here. Yeah. Bentley up 68%. BYD up 314%. Ford up 17%. Genesis up 17%. Ineos up 100 to a whopping 36 units registered. Jeep up 16%, Lexus up 24%, Mini up 47%, Peugeot up 33%, and last but not least, Skoda up 30%. MG, by the way, mentioned them earlier on, and it struck me, they are down almost 10%, 9.5%. They seem to have become a very grown-up manufacturer in terms of sales here very, very quickly, and good stabilization, yeah.
Well, they're expanding their offerings, aren't they, with the showing off of saloons and stuff that they did at Goodwood. Be interesting to see how they're thought of by their current customers.
Yes, well, at the end of last month, I saw a lot of them in France.
Okay.
Surprising number in France. Anyway, I think that's us covered the new car registration figures for last month.
Yep. I will move us on to JLR, and as it's still that season, financial results are being released and discussed. JLR had their profits halved in spring as the UF import tariffs took hold, according to this Autocar article linked in the show notes. In the last quarter, so April to June, the tariffs cost them £254 million, which is obviously quite a chunk of change, but that's not the only problem. Because of the way the tariffs have happened, then the foreign exchange rates have fluctuated, I think is the official term that we have to discuss.
Yes. Yes. The market, the foreign exchange markets have reacted to US politics.
Yes, that's it. And that cost them, according to their own documents, $205 million. But what isn't down to anybody else but themselves is the 144 million bill for warranty works. And we say this is the bit that really frustrates us with JLR. And I'm sure there are tons of people inside the company that is going, no, we don't want to make cars that break down. We don't want faulty components. We don't want this or that or the other. We want them to be good cars that are reliable. They've worked hard on the security, and they seem to have sorted that to the point where you can see that in official figures how few are actually stolen now. They've got to put the same drive and energy and focus into the reliability, because this hasn't been just a short-term thing. This hasn't been just the last couple of years. This has been a constant bugbear for them for years, and they still haven't got it sorted.
For decades, actually.
Yeah.
You ever wonder why we don't get JLR press cars? If you ever wonder why many people don't get JLR press cars, it's comments like this. But yes, it's because it's a thing, you know? I would love a JLR product. I really would. I love the idea of them. I think they look great. I just don't think I could own one.
On the tariff side of things, though, obviously there's the UK deal, which will help reduce the tariffs down, is a big thing. But their big seller is the Defender. And for them, they're still going to be hit at the higher tariff rate because that's built in the EU. And the EU, whilst they have reached agreement, that hasn't come into force yet. So they've still got a bit of a hangover of that for a few months until that kicks in. The impact of the tariff farce will be lessened for the company. Do read the link in the article, because there's other stuff about China as well in there that's impacting them that you should read, and is actually quite interesting.
Yes, it's a cracker, and it's Nick Gibbs rating Autocar. So do read the linked article. Another Nick Gibbs article from Autocar. This is either a really good thing or a really bad thing. I have a suspicion.
Me too.
Which it is, but we'll let you decide at home.
You come to your own conclusions.
Yes. Lotus Europe boss Matt Windle has stepped down. He was in position as the CEO for 4 months.
Ooh.
Yeah. For 4 months. Read into that what you will. His role is being taken over by Mao Jingbo. She's obviously a Chinese executive. She was head of Lotus China and now takes over. She joined Lotus in 2022, as I say, to be president of the China operations. Previously, she was head of Lincoln's Chinese operations. And before that, she was head of marketing in China for Mercedes-Benz. Before that, she was a journalist.
That's the fourth head of Lotus in 2 years, just to give you some context.
Yes. Obviously, we've covered before that Lotus sales globally have not been doing great.
Or catastrophic compared to what the projections were.
Yes.
Or the aims, sorry, not even projections. Yeah.
Grim as heck. Yeah, the aims and the objectives and all these things were far more... They assumed people would want a very large Lotus SUV. That's what it comes up, built in China.
Well, it's the luxury EV market has turned out to not be as strong as all the car manufacturers who were producing a luxury EV had hoped and thought was sitting there just waiting to give them money.
And it turns out the worst place you can possibly build a luxury EV is China for most of the global market.
It is now.
There was a series of decisions made a few years ago which really have turned out to be very bad decisions. Not all of it foreseeable. They weren't necessarily bad decisions at the time.
No.
Let's see what happens here. Of course, there was that rumour the other week about Lotus wanting to move production outside of the UK and close down Heathens.
And then suddenly, no, that wasn't the case.
And that wasn't the case. That wasn't even what was being hinted at. No, terribly not. But the ascension of a Chinese executive does raise questions as to just what's going to happen with that story, I think.
I've moved them into the concerned column of my watch list.
Alternatively, former marketing person, former journalist, over here could quite easily go, no, this needs to stay here. This is part of the story. This is part of what's important to Lotus customers, etc., etc., etc. Maybe not.
It's a very much we'll have to wait and see, because we don't know what she's like. We've no experience in this country of her.
Yeah, exactly. Just quickly about what happened with Matt Windle. I mean, the sort of first sort of subtitle, the first paragraph of this Autocar story, it does say, current Lotus Europe head Matt Windle was let go by the company. With wording like that in Autocar, the chances are that there was a bit of a disagreement and that management didn't like whatever he was saying.
The subheading says Matt Windle steps down.
Yes.
That implies a conflict of opinion on who did what.
I would say that that's behind it, yes.
We are definitely reading between lines for this.
We could be doing an English teacher thing here and reading too much into these, but let's be clear about that.
Yes, this is our own opinion at this point.
Yes.
Very much. But it just, if we do the Motoring Podcast smell test.
Doesn't smell great.
No.
We're not normally too far wrong.
No, we're not, unfortunately. Generally with the bad news, which is really awful.
Yeah.
Can we be right with the good news?
It's a skill, you know.
Yes. Can we be right with the good news? Anyway, talking of good news, I'm going to take us to Bolton, and that is not a sentence that is normally
That's
said.
not normally good news.
Trust me. This is the news that ASTEMO, who is a manufacturer of components for automotive manufacturing, is going to invest 100 million in an EV plant at Bolton, which is creating and safeguarding 200 jobs. They are going to be producing multiple inverter production lines, which is going to support the next generation of electric vehicle powertrains, which should come on stream from April 2027. They've also got government backing on this, and so as much as we kick the government, and we do, particularly recently, we do need to say well done for something like this, because this helps strengthen one of, I think, the strengths of UK manufacturing, engineering, and R&D is we do very good work here.
Oh, we're awesome engineers.
We sometimes forget this because it gets overshadowed by the large tier 1 OEMs and the car brands, but we need to remember further down the chain, there are a lot of really, really good, important companies that make a lot of very good and sought-after componentry.
It's all very well building the batteries in the UK. It's all very well building the final vehicles in the UK and them looking swishy and lovely and everything. But there's an awful lot of important bits in EVs between the battery and making something go. And the inverter is one of those things. It is a key component in EVs. To have them to be able to be built and sourced in the UK is an important component. It's like gearboxes, I guess. It would be the equivalent in an internal combustion engine car. It's like having all of that stuff. This is an important announcement.
And don't forget that as it stands now, the UK has one of the lowest tariffs with the US. So if this stuff is exported to the US for EV manufacturing, although there's question marks on how much EV manufacturing is actually going to happen in the US, thanks to the latest regime's changes in not just only the consumer grants, but also to companies and production facilities themselves.
Yeah.
We are, as it stands in the way things have turned out over the last few years, we are in a bit of a gateway position where we can feed several markets without too much penalty.
This week, Ford and GM are very much committed to building EVs in the US. Ford a little bit more so after yesterday. Again, we'll cover those announcements next week once we've had time to chew them.
Anyway, Alan, do you want to take us from the wonderful sights of Bolton to the majesty of Sunderland?
Yes, we're taking you to all the best parts of the UK today.
The trip in between would be lovely.
It is actually, yeah. Nissan has opened a new UK electric truck charging hub. This article is from electrive.com. As always, link in the show notes. Yeah, in association with GridServe, Nissan has built a hub that can charge up to 10 electric HGVs simultaneously. It can put out up to 360 kilowatts. It can be used to support a total of 25 trucks. The real purpose of this is to work on the whole supply chain view. And if you've got a factory building EVs and a battery factory just beside the factory building EVs, then really you want to try to use as much EV-ness as possible. Nissan has logistics partners for various things. So, for example, to get vehicles back and forth from the docks. Then they've got BCA, so BCA are running electric DAFs. They've got their general logistics partner, Ferguson's, or the local logistics partner, Ferguson's, who run all the warehouses and get the stuff on site just in time. Again, you want them running electric trucks. And last but not least, then you want stuff coming from ports, Port of Tyne, out. And then Yusen is their global logistics partner. Yusen also running electric trucks. And this all feeds in partly, it's really good advertising for electric vehicles. Also, it leads into the whole close to net zero-ness of the car plant for the UK electric vehicle grant, which then benefits people who buy Nissan cars.
Yep.
It's kind of interesting that this is an investment way down the chain, things that you don't really necessarily think about, but then it will have a knock-on effect as you add it all up. And it just shows more investment in Sunderland, which is a good thing for the UK economy.
Yeah.
So this is really cool.
It's perfect that hub and spoke, and you've talked about this many times on the show, that you know your maximum distance you are going to go, and it is then just down to a number of trips you can manage on a charge, and that sort of thing. And it just makes planning so much easier. And this is the thing that I don't think many understand when it comes to commercial vehicles, and including light commercial vehicles, and transforming to a zero emission fleet, is the confidence in the planning of how what you can do in a day or half day or on a trip. This is just a perfect example of how that is controllable.
I mean, the majority of times with trucks, you know exactly what the route's going to be, because you have to do all sorts of fun things, like make sure it all fits within people's drivers' hours and you're totally legal and all these kind of things. Actually, for HGVs, you're already doing a lot of this, so you kind of already know what's going on. Nissan estimates it will support up to 60 daily deliveries via eHGV. When I was coming up the M20 from France, was being deafened by the road surface. I spotted a couple of the electric Mercedes.
Oh, the Actros.
HGVs? No. What is it? The e-Actros. Is it an e-Actros?
I think so.
Coming the other way. The ones that look a bit like a Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
I had not seen any of those on the road over here. They don't seem to come this far north. Probably for infrastructure reasons.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see a couple of those, and they really stand out on the road. None of the ones in the picture on the Nissan one, by the way, are Mercedes. They are two DAFs and a Volvo FM. If any of you care, which you don't. But I do.
Well, on that note then, Alan, I think we've made it through the first part of the show.
We have. I think we've dragged it kicking and screaming up to the minute. That brings us to Guilt Minute, a quick break-in show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and T-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand. You can help by following us for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. Thank you. We have passed the magic 500 subscriber mark.
Insert whooping and cheering and crowd celebrations.
Special effects on the video of fireworks and all sorts of things happening behind us.
No, but thank you everyone who has subscribed. That is really appreciated.
Yeah. For us now, it's a case of trying to put out enough video content to get people to watch to make up the hours, which we're already going to do in time. We'll get there. But yeah, we'll be putting out a bit more video content to back up the podcast stuff. And we'll be telling you when it comes out. So, for example, there was the walk around in my Lexus the other week. I think that was the last thing I put out.
Yeah.
And lots of other bits and pieces anyway.
Yep.
We're trying to do more of that kind of Alan and Andrew Pointer stuff video.
Yes.
They seem to get quite good feedback. Anyway, if you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone. Right, new car news. And it's still a bit quiet on the old new car news front. So we've got a couple of extra bits of information when it comes to one of the cars, but I'm going to start with a refresh to the 2025 Honda Civic. And when I say refresh, I think you're going to have to do spot the difference, because it really is the mildest of refreshes, externally and internally to the looks. They've done a few tweaks to the looks of it. It's essentially the same looking vehicle.
They've changed the headlamps a bit, folks.
They've removed the fog lamps. They've color-coded the bottom splitter, that sort of thing. So it really is just touches. Inside, they've just changed some of the material finishes as well. But that's not a bad thing, because the reviews that were given for the last generation, or the 11th generation Civic, have all been really, really good. I've not seen anybody really attack them, maybe for the ADAS side of things, but not for the car itself, not for the powertrain, which remains the same, and not for the looks. And this is a fairly big car now. I mean, we were talking before the show. It's really, you need to change this to Accord if you were of a certain age in terms of getting your head around the size.
To me, it is not a C segment hatchback anymore.
No. But it apparently drives really well. The equipment inside generally is really good. Like I said, there's some foibles with ADAS. The prices are going to start from £33,795 for Elegance, and it will go up to £38,695 for the Advance, which is top of the range. Just a little update there, and it goes to show that some cars still have a thing. It's not all SUVs. He pleads.
Supposedly it's very good at being an car. More announcements and details about the new electric Nissan Micra, though. It will cost from £22,995. It will be available to order from the 1st of September 2025. And if that £22,995 number seems familiar, well, then that's the same price as the Renault 5 starts at. It looks to be receiving a £1,500 grant from the electric car grant.
So's the Renault.
Yes. And it says Nissan is confident the Micra will qualify.
This was an older article before yesterday.
Before yesterday's announcement. That's the £23,000 starting price, gets you a 40 kilowatt hour battery, and that offers an official range of up to 198 miles. Other standard equipment includes 18-inch wheels, climate control, and aircon, 7-inch digital instrument panel, and a 10.1-inch infotainment touchscreen. If you go a bit up the trims, then the advanced trim is £24,995, and that comes with a 40 kilowatt hour battery, with the same 40 kilowatt hour battery even. And for £27,000, you'll get the larger 52 kilowatt hour battery, which means you get 260 miles-ish when fully charged. Advanced also includes 18-inch alloys, wireless phone charging, front parking sensors, rear view camera, and built-in Google navigation. Top of the range, though, is the Evolve. It's priced from $29,865. You only get it with a bigger battery pack. It comes with Harman Kardon sound systems, 18-inch sports wheels, two-tone paint, heated front seats, etc. Every single Micra comes with a heat pump.
Hooray.
To make it more efficient, particularly in the winter time. This is a good thing. Nissan skimped on heat pumps in the past, and that has caused them issues with predictability of range throughout the year. The heat pump also means that it can recharge at speeds of up to 100 kilowatts, meaning 15 to 80%, taking around 30 minutes conditions applying.
Yes.
Now, there was something else that you said before the show, and I want you to say it now for all the listeners, Andrew.
Well, I said that I've looked at the pictures again, and I've thought it's a good-looking car, but for me, the problem is I know the Renault 5 exists, which I think is a better-looking car. However, for most normal people, not me then.
Yeah, not you.
They may not know about the Renault 5, or they may not have a dealership near them, so they don't see them on the roads.
Yeah.
Where they'll go up and go, that's a really good-looking car. I like that. That's the right size, etc. And I hope they're onto a winner with it.
Yeah. It might depend what deals are.
Yeah. Because those prices you quoted were outside of the £1,500.
Yeah, those were not subtracting.
That's where they start. I think it's a good-looking car. I hear nothing but pretty much good things about the Renault 5, so that's going to be translated into the Micra.
The worst thing I hear about the Renault 5, by the way, is that all of the press cars have the funky interior trim, but you can only get the nice interior trims in the high specs. And in actual fact, the cooking models, it tends to be a bit whole of Calcutta black.
Well, I get to try one next week.
Okay.
Should report back.
Cool.
Anyway, Alan, do you want to take us on to it's been a while, but old car dead news?
It is. And old car dead news this week is the Volkswagen Touareg. The last of the Porsche cars, as far as I can tell. Some Volkswagen nerd will correct me at some point, but this is the last of the Ferdinand Porsche, let's fill all the voids type makers luxury. It goes along with like the Phaeton and all of these kinds of things. Volkswagen will be axing the Touareg at the end of the current generation. Supposedly, it will cease to be produced in 2026, leaving the recently introduced Tayron, which I drove not so long ago, as Volkswagen's largest SUV model in the UK. This Autocar article goes through, points out the history, and saying that the decision to retire the Touareg reflects changing priorities at Volkswagen. The Tayron's a lower-cost alternative with broader appeal and now fills much of the Touareg's role.
Is it a case of the VW group going, should we stop competing against each other?
No.
Because with the Touareg, it was definitely competing against Audi.
It was definitely competing against Audi. It was also, do I say it was competing against? It's got the same underneath as Lamborghini, Bentley.
Yeah.
The list goes on, really.
There's one thing with sharing parts, but I don't think people went, oh, is it a Touareg or a Bentley? Which shall I go for?
Sometimes I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. No, but the Touareg, I joke to refer to it as the tow rig, because you almost always see them towing something around the UK. It does seem to be the thing is that, okay, so they're saying the Tayron does most of what the Touareg does. And the Tayron, if you choose the right spec, so the 2-litre TSI 4 Motion, then the Tayron will tow up to 2.5 tons, which is lots for most people. The Touareg was the full 3.5 tons, so it's a whole ton more. But I don't think that the people who tow everything everywhere, apart from maybe some caravanists and some horseists, are necessarily the initial purchasers of those vehicles. And the Tayron does, with its 3 rows of seats, its hybrid powertrains, all these kind of things, its smaller dimensions, is probably a better family vehicle, which should be where Volkswagen is going. There's a couple of other models going as well. The ID.5, if anybody needs a guide to that, it's essentially the Volkswagen version of the Ford Capri.
Mm-hmm.
The slanty-roofed, not as good-looking version of the ID4.
Yeah.
It's on its way out as well in 2027. Volkswagen trying to rationalize some of their models.
Yeah.
As well. So things like a smaller electric MPV, as been referred to here as a mini buzz, they're not going to go ahead with that project either. So they are trying to rationalize down a bit. I think the peak of all the segments, it has now passed.
Well, I think they can do that across the range of the group.
Yes.
Because I've been having discussions with people outside the podcast about Stellantis, and their main problem is that they are in all the sectors, but fighting each other generally in different markets.
They're in all the sectors 4 or 5 times over in some cases.
Yeah, because someone likened them to BL the other day to me, which isn't a million miles off, except for they haven't quite got to the point where the unions are fighting the management every step of the way yet, but they're not far off it.
No. And I think that there's, at least different versions of stuff are built in different factories in some cases. So.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to take us on to Designer's Mood Board, and this is the sad news that ERCOLE SPADA has unfortunately passed away at the age of 88 on the 3rd of August. He was involved with Zagato initially after he completed his industrial engineering training, and he has penned cars the likes of the Aston Martin DB4 GT Zagato, the Alfa Romeo SZ, the TZ, and the Junior Z. He's worked at Kia, he's worked at BMW, and this is one that I was surprised at and I didn't realise. but he is responsible for the likes of the BMW E34 5 Series.
That's the one that came after the shark nosy one.
Yeah, which, if you're of a certain age, you have a fond spot for because of the looks of it, to say the least.
My dad worked for a BMW garage at the time both of those were launched.
Mm.
It's actually the one generation of 5 Series, the one major generation of 5 Series that he didn't own, but he did have one as a company car.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Useless facts are us.
Yeah. Well, there's a wonderful Octane article that is linked in the show notes that they have from back when they have interviewed him, and they talk about his history as well as the companies he was involved with. And it really comes across that he was such a humble chap who was happy to sit in the background and just do car designing rather than, I want to be the star, look at me, I'll front up the company. He just wasn't interested in any of that side of things. He just wanted to design cars and do interesting projects. And, I think he did.
I love the sketches. By the way, in this article, there's some lovely sketches from his time at Zagato, particularly the ones for the 1962 Giulia TZ. I love those little sketches.
The sympathy to his friends and family there.
Absolutely.
List of the week.
And
this is from Autocar. There is a large slideshow once again, and it is titled The Best Small Cars Ever Made. Now, I thought we've done something like this before, but I've gone back through our history as well as I can. That's nearly 10 years, everyone. Really not far off 10 years.
Terrifying.
And I can't find this same title anywhere in the past. With that in mind, because we really work hard at not repeating lists. That's been one of the things we have tried very, very hard over the years.
Really tough.
Which is why sometimes there has been no list. But Alan, small cars.
Yes.
You quite like a small car now and again.
I do. 53 slides in this pack. It's by Richard Dredge. And it is a recent one. And it is titled The Best Small Cars Ever Made. And goodness me, I can argue against some of the ones in here. There are some absolute stacks of poop in here. Richard, just no, mate. Come on. I am going to choose. I mean, there is one that I am so keen to choose, but I've decided not to. I was going to choose the Audi A2.
Oh,
there was definitely a danger of a clash on this, and if you'd gone first, I was going to choose something else, but I've gone first, so there we go. The Audi A2. I just think the Audi A2 is incredibly clever. To make small cars is much harder than to make big cars. The Audi A2 is just really good at being a small car pretending to be a big car. It's got clever manufacturing. It's very efficient. It
looks good.
Both in terms of space and fuel efficiency. It looks good. It's got lots and lots of... the fact that it was not necessarily a sales success is not down to any of those aspects.
No.
I don't think it's down to it being a bad car. I think it's just down to it being a bit more expensive than people are necessarily get their head around for the size. I have decided that, at least for my primary option, I'm going to choose that one.
Okay.
That's slide 41 out of 53 in your slide packs. My temptation to choose slide 42 was so high. So very, very high. But there we go.
I would have had to give them a lot of warning if you were going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I have chosen slide 45 in your pack, the Honda Jazz in that case.
It was another option, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
Whilst it's not flash, it's not from a premium manufacturer or anything like that. I think it's a really, really clever car that was, and still is, very well built, that lasts and does so much that people often don't feel the need to go to a bigger car.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to be applauded.
It's a lot of the same things I've just said about the A2, but in a cheaper and hence more successful package. I just want to say, any of the American ones in this list are just no. The more I look at them, the more offended I am by stuff like the AMC Gremlin, the Renault.
Are you offering your consultancy options to any autocar list compiler if they wish to include an American vehicle now? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that they're just grim. These are not good vehicles. They never were good vehicles. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. I mean, at least there's no AMC Pacer in there. That would just be offensive on so many levels, including these small vehicles. And best, and just everything. I mean, it was a car, I suppose. Anyway, that means, by virtue of serendipity, slightly serendipity, and completely ignoring the actual running order of the show that we'd planned beforehand, that I end up with the and finally. Because whilst the American small cars on the list of the week were all rubbish, one of the things that's really good in America, I'm going to say, is U-Haul. Now, I know people disagree with it. Now, Andrew, do you know what U-Haul is generally? Do I need to start from first principles? I'm going to take you as a guinea pig on this.
I think you do, please. Yeah, I mean, I've got a vague awareness because of things you've done with when friends have come over to the colonies when you were there. But no, I don't know.
Okay, U-Haul rent vans and trailers. At one point, U-Haul rented everything. You could rent a video player from a video cassette recorder from U-Haul and caravans and all sorts of stuff. But really, they do van rental, pickup rental, trailer rental, and they do storage as well in some cases. They're a national network. A lot of the time, they specialize in one-way shipping of stuff.
Okay.
For example, if you are moving from one side of the US to the other, it is not uncommon to rent the big U-Haul and the trailer to go behind the U-Haul. You buy your boxes from U-Haul, you stack up, put all your stuff in the truck, put your car on the trailer behind it, you drive from, I don't know, New Jersey to New Mexico. You unload all your stuff, you return everything there, and it's all priced and expected as a one-way type deal. And they've got a network of locations all over the place. There is no analog for it in the UK. It is not possible to go along to a UK rental place and say, I want to rent a van and a trailer, and I only want a one-way rental between Perth and Southampton. You can do one-way rentals, you can do it van stuff, but you can't do the whole trailer and stuff. You can't do the whole package all from one place. But U-Haul have a collection of trailers from little tiny box ones, which you'll have seen if you watch people drag racing in the US and stuff. They do it whenever they use those little ones, right the way up to quite big box trailers and plant trailers and all sorts of stuff like that.
Okay.
What's unusual for U-Haul is to bring out a new model. Obviously, in the car world in the US, people don't necessarily go out and buy a car trailer unless they're doing a lot of towing. They will normally go and hire a U-Haul one because it is very much cheaper. And you don't have to store it and all sorts of stuff.
Gotcha.
Their car trailers are sized for a certain form factor of vehicle. You have to have quite a wide track. It has to be quite high to get, to go sort of run down the sort of the tracks on the back of the trailer that it goes in. What they actually do with the trailers is they design them very specifically for rental use. So they're very heavy duty. Things like tie-down straps for cars are all built into the trailer, and the instructions are on it and all sorts of things like that. Really clever from a system point of view. If you're stuck with something, there's a little web address, so you can type in the web address into your phone, see a video of how you're meant to do stuff, all of that kind of thing. It's really nicely thought out.
Crikey.
Kind of thing that excites me too much. Yes, exactly. It's just really well done. To take a hypothetical example, if you've got a smart crossblade in the US and you need to put it onto one of these trailers, it's a bit tricky because it's got quite a narrow track and wide tyres. So you have to sort of line it all up. It's tough to get on. Now, as more and more people in the US have more interesting stuff to cart around the place, and I'm not just talking about smarts and other various imported vehicles, then, well, it was definitely a consideration because it was meant to be a second trip, which involved something with very narrow tracks. And the plan had been to hire one of their plant trailers, just a general multi-purpose trailer, and buy some ramps for the back of it that would mean that it could go on and off.
Okay.
Because it can't, because there's only 2 ramps on these ones. So they've introduced a new one. It's called a toy hauler. It's meant for towing vehicles that aren't necessarily cars and that are maybe narrower, have 3 wheels, whatever. And they've introduced this new thing. So there's this great article in Car and Driver. This is very long and finally, I'm so sorry. I should have known this was going to happen. That talks about how they're building this 16-foot by 8-foot deck trailer, how they're trying to build 5,000 by the end of the year to add to their 10 or was it 12,000 car trailers they've got going around the US and Canada, and all sorts of stuff. It's very cool. It shows a bit about it. It explains lots about U-Haul and just how they go about stuff. It's really, to me, it's really interesting because I think that they're super smart trailers, and I wish there was an equivalent here, being able to move stuff around the place. There we go.
Mm.
I've just waffled lots. Obviously, it's much less of history and then lots about the trailer if you click on the link through to the Car and Driver article behind all this. I have stunned Andrew into silence. Either that or he's fallen asleep.
No, it's fascinating. I'm just trying to get my head around the whole idea and the concept in it, and wonder why we've never done it here.
I don't know. Or do you need to have, because you need to start with a bang. I mean, they started off a long time ago. They started off in the 1950s, and it was like $2 a day to rent a trailer, one standard wooden trailer. But they had, even at that stage, they had some locations on one coast, some locations on another coast very early on. And so it became the thing to do to tow it across.
Okay.
Across the country. They've had the time and not the way that you financed stuff back then was not the way that you do it now. So they've had time for the growth as opposed to growth, which is what it would be these days. So nobody would ever back you because it's too physical a thing.
As you said, they were AI trailers.
Yeah, exactly. The trailer follows you with AI. How do you train the AI? Well, we're still doing that. It's in beta. So what you have to do is you have to clip it to the back of the vehicle that's towing it.
There we are. Dragon's Den. That's the pitch.
It's also that your driving license in the US lets you drive and tow bigger vehicles and all sorts of stuff. So it's much easier from a licensing point of view.
Ours has changed since passing.
Yeah. Yeah, so's mine. Now I can tow one, which I didn't realize I couldn't for the first few years. I've done more towing than I probably should have done.
No, it's a good one, though. It's good. It's good. Really interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do look at that in more detail, even if you're not in America, because it's kind of cool. It's something we don't have here. We have Marks and Spencers. They have U-Haul. There we go.
We have waffled a lot today.
We have. I'm so sorry. Anyway, that gets me to the end, I think. That was a huge hint. So everyone, don't forget, between now and next week, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts of the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page at motoringpodcast.com. Hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky. Failing that, if you prefer LinkedIn, I'm there under my own name. And Alan, if people would like to learn even more about U-Haul, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you personally?
With me-Haul? It's Blue Sky is probably best, where I'm at AJP Bradley, that's BIADLEY, .bsky.social. We'll be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.